We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And our first guest you've seen on American Gladiator and American Ninja Warrior, and he won American Gladiator. Evan Dollard is here. Evan Dollard, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Hey, thanks so much. It's great to be here.
No, thank you. I'm very happy to have you as a guest. And also, you're now the spokesperson for Quest Nutrition Bars. And those are selling everywhere. Everyone loves those. And I think you were a very good choice for them, if I can say so, really. You were a great choice.
It's very kind of you to say.
Yes. And if you don't mind my asking, I've watched some of your videos of you running up a wall quickly and of climbing under the side of stairs on the outside of buildings. And I thought to myself, that is not stunt work. That's unedited. That's just you running up a wall and climbing under stairs. Am I correct?
You are correct. Yeah, I actually I have very little stunt work to my credit. I did do some motion capture for a video game recently, and that was a fun experience. They decked me out in this suit, and put all the sensors all over so they could track my movement and everything. But it's one of those things where my dad very early on introduced physical fitness to me and established that as a foundation in my life by being the coach of a t-ball team. Oh. And then it just kind of carried over from there. And it wasn't until American Gladiators that I realized how unusual of a skill set I had when it came to the athletic arena, like competing on obstacle courses. Because there, the Eliminator is the end-all, be-all. It's this giant obstacle course at the end of every single round. And you had to put together a cargo net climb, diving under the water and then going up this pyramid, down a zip line. It was all these unusual forms of athleticism tied together. And I did very well on every single round of the Eliminator. And that's when I realized I had a unique skill set to offer.
Well, I watched those videos and I just thought they were very interesting. And they were fun to watch, from a just entertainment perspective. But I thought to myself, man, that young guy's got some upper body strength. When I saw you run up those walls, I thought to myself, now that is a guy who's not been practicing for 15 minutes to do that. That is a lot of practice to make it seem that easy and to do it that quickly. And I thought, whoa. So who taught you that?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Who taught me to run up a wall?
Yeah.
Well, again, it was one of those things where physical fitness has been a part of my life since I was 4 years old.
Right.
And I was always willing to try anything. In truth, I was never a varsity athlete in high school. I was never a collegiate athlete. But I was ready to do whatever. So I worked at a rock climbing facility. Oh. I barefoot water skied. I learned how to snowboard when I was 16. And all those things kind of put together where I wasn't the all-star basketball player or a baseball player or anything traditional like that.
Right.
But I was very good at picking up on different kind of more unusual, new type of sports. And then when I got on American Gladiators, it was we had to practice the Eliminator a few different times, and so I was like, okay, let's see how it takes to climb this cargo net. And it kind of was me figuring out being adaptable as I had learned to be over the course of my athletic background. That, okay, if I reach out side to side while I'm trying to climb this cargo net, it's swaying back and forth a little bit. So I need to stay on one strand and kind of go hand over hand and not worry about my feet because they're going to find their way. And making adjustments like that and learning to be adaptable and then learning how to train in order to be ready for anything. Because obviously on American Ninja Warrior, you don't get to try the course before you get on it. So the first time that you see me running across this balance beam that's 1 foot across and spinning as I'm running, that's the first time I've ever gotten on that thing. So you need to be ready for anything. So you're practicing balance, you're practicing agility, explosiveness, and a lot of that is at the gym doing plyometric circuits.
Doing what?
Plyometric circuits. So I will do lower body explosiveness. So I'll go to the gym and I'll do, an agility ladder on the ground. So I'm doing fast footwork, and then I'll pair that with, I'll put a barbell on my back, and lightweight, and I'll do jumps, and then I'll do split jumps with dumbbells in my hands. So I'll be doing lunges and that type of thing. So kind of combining these explosive type plyometric circuits to my lower body, in addition to upper body training, is how I'm physically ready for anything. And then, I'll go to a free running gym every now and then and work on specific skills like Kongs, which is part of the parkour arsenal of movement, and cats, and they have their own their own vernacular for sure.
Because what you do now is really very modern, very very modern as a sport, and also as body movement. And I guess, was it the James Bond movie? Was it Casino Royale just a few years ago, when they had those remarkable scenes of him running up cranes and him chasing people, and they jump through cars? And I thought, and everyone else thought, that is stylish. It's graceful, it's modern. And when I saw you run over the wall and underneath the outside of the building and then go up those nets, I thought, no, that's very modern. And also, I kind of recognized, even though I can't do it, the prowess that it must be involved, the upper body strength to do that. I thought, there's a guy who must have done a lot of training.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit that nail on the head. With Casino Royale, that kind of put parkour on the map.
That's the exact term for this new sport?
There's two forms of it. There's parkour, which is the more foundational. It's recognized as the more foundational form. Mm-hmm. So parkour at its essence is getting from point A to point B as quickly and efficiently as possible. So that's where you see a lot of in military training, for example. And I had the chance to get on a couple of military courses recently, and they, the guys that are training in the Marines and the SEALs, they're training on these courses, which are obstacle courses, because they need to be able to navigate an urban environment as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Right.
Free running is kind of an evolution of that parkour training, where they're adding urban gymnastics to it. So a lot of gymnasts got into it, and they're thinking, okay, well, I can get from point A to point B, but I'm going to do a flip here. I'm going to do a diving Kong here, and a backflip once I leave this platform. So it became a movement art form. And so many free runners, you'll find, they believe in the art of movement, and that's more or less how they describe it. So it is it's a burgeoning sport. It's very, very popular, and you're seeing it in the movies more and more.
Yeah, because it looks great on camera. It's really, from my perspective, it's athletic, but really it does seem very graceful. It seems it's graceful. And I think most people in the audience would think, wow, that's not easy to do, and it has a nice look to it.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I'm somewhere in between. I'm friends with a lot of the guys here in LA. They train at the Tempest Free Running Academy up in Chatsworth.
Where's this?
Tempest Free Running Academy.
Okay.
It's a training facility up in Chatsworth, and there's a lot of honestly, the nation's, even the world's best free running talent comes out of that place. And if you mentioned Casino Royale before, I'm more or less the Daniel Craig version of that opening sequence. You have the free runner who's there, and he's doing climbing up the I-beam and everything,
right?
And he's flipping through this hole in the wall, and then James Bond breaks through the drywall because he can't replicate that. I'm closer to him in that sense, where I'm not as graceful as some of these guys who are training at it daily. Because on the Ninja Warrior course, or even in American Gladiators, you didn't need as much grace as you did power and strength and agility and those types of things. So I'm not one to flip very much, but I will get from point A to point B faster than almost anybody.
Let me ask you a pedestrian question.
Okay.
How many push-ups can you do?
Whoa, boy. Asked me the last time I did push-ups consecutively. I would say probably 50, 60. It's not off the charts by any means.
Oh, and then just rest, and you could number of sets, right?
But let me give you an example of when I go to the gym. This is how I train. So I will get on the pull-up bar, and I will do as many pull-ups as I can until failure.
Yeah. By the way, I watched one of your clips of you doing pull-ups, although that was a short clip, and I thought to myself, I was just impressed. I thought, oh my goodness, look at that upper body strength. I really thought to myself, now here's a man in very good health.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it does. It takes a certain amount of training, a certain amount of sessions at the gym.
Oh, no, it absolutely does.
Yeah,
sure.
To get to that point. So I'll go to the gym, I'll do pull-ups till failure, and then I'll jump on the dip bar, and I'll do dips till failure, and then I'll do incline push-ups till failure, and then I'll do arm raises or something with a light amount of weight, and I'll hit my entire upper body in 7 exercises, for example, that takes me 3.5, 4 minutes, because generally that's what you're being hit with. Every part of your upper body will be hit on an American Ninja Warrior course. So I need to be ready to complete all those to have all those muscles activated in that short amount of time frame and be explosive through every single one of those movements. So that's why I train the way that I do. So that'll be a traditional circuit for me, 7 exercises, usually about 3.5 to 4 minutes, hitting my entire upper body. I'll rest, and then I'll go after it for another couple sets of that.
And so you said you were not a traditional athlete in high school. Did your dad and mom encourage you to do, okay, how old are you when you ran up your first wall? What's the story behind that? You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm going to have to think about that for a second. When I was in college, I took a break from my classes and I worked at a health club in Chicago, and they had a rock climbing facility. And there they had what was called auto belays. So it's top rope climbing. It was a 30-foot wall. But the auto belays, you don't need to have someone spotting you. It's connected to the top. There's a hydraulic system behind the wall. So you just clip into the base of the wall and you climb that thing as fast as you can. And if you fall or make it to the top, then you let go and it lets you down slowly.
Okay.
And so
that's called what again?
It was an auto belay at a rock climbing facility, top rope climbing. And so I got on that thing, and it took me maybe a month, and I had memorized this route. We hadn't changed it in a month. And by the end of that, if I hit all my marks climbing up the wall, I could do it in 5.5, 6 seconds, going from on the ground to 30 feet in the air in that short amount of time.
Gotcha.
So that certainly translated over into American Gladiators, because one of the events was a wall with an auto belay, and it was 40 feet high, and I get a 7-second head start, and then this guy, this gladiator, Wolf, is who they put me on the wall against me every single time, was trying to chase after me, and he just couldn't even come close to catching me, because that was literally something that I had trained on while, being employed at this health club.
Right.
So, but I the first time I went rock climbing, 7th grade, my parents introduced me to a camping program that involved, taking middle schoolers out into the wild and camping for a week, canoeing and rock climbing and camping out. And, obviously I owned a Super Nintendo at the time, a Game Gear. I was very active as a kid, but I still, I played video games and I sat inside, and they wanted me to spend a week during the summer going off and experiencing this new wilderness experience. So that's what I did. And
you just liked it.
I loved it. Yeah. I loved rock climbing, went to a couple indoor facilities after that. And then again, when I got into college, I worked at one. And that was certainly integral into helping me develop my forearm strength and fingertip strength, and then just being able to, traverse up a wall more or less effortlessly.
And that wall in the video, where was that wall? Was that in the back lot of Warner Brothers somewhere? Where was that wall? No, seriously, where was that?
I think it was at a train station, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay.
There was because I was in Chicago at the time when I was putting together an audition tape for American Ninja Warrior Season 2, which is the first one that I tried out. And they had, it was at a slight angle, maybe a 14-foot wall outside of a train station. I said, you know what, if I sprint at that thing and I just push off as hard as I can, I bet I could keep my momentum going all the way to the top of that. So it took me a few tries, but my buddy Jordan was there to film, and we got up and over it, and that was part of my audition tape and helped me get the opportunity to be on the American Ninja Warrior course.
Yeah, because that really is, I think any action movie done by Mel Gibson or Schwarzenegger or anyone would love to have that as a sequence. I thought that was just such a great sequence. I thought that is masculine and graceful and stylish. It was like, I thought, whoa. I just really liked it. And the nice thing about it is, you don't need 50 guys with machine guns dancing around. You're just one guy on camera who can really do something skillful, and the camera can pick it up. And again, if you don't do it quite right, you can get hurt.
Yeah, you most certainly can.
Yeah, you can get hurt.
Yeah, in fact, I was bouncing off of walls about 6 weeks ago at this free running facility up in Chatsworth. And it was one of these moves where there was a bar that's adhered to the wall about 12 feet off the ground, and there was 2 other walls kind of close by that are at an angle. So you have to hit the wall 1, 2, 3, bounce off it 3 times to then be high enough to reach that 12, 13-foot bar.
Right.
And I only went at it about 85% speed. It was the end of my workout. And by the time I hit the 3rd wall, reaching for this bar, I was a foot short. So I'm 11 feet off the ground, and my foot kind of got caught underneath me, and I slid down the wall, and it slammed my foot into the ground. And I was hobbling around for weeks because I severely strained it. And that's one of those hazards of the job that it's a risk that you're taking when you're trying these explosive movements and you're taking these risks. And it's definitely a dangerous activity, dangerous sport, but it's worthwhile.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's obviously clearly dangerous, especially to an older man. Sometimes when you're young, you think, oh, I'm made of stone, But when you get older, you realize, oh, not so much, So yeah, you can get really hurt. That's what I think.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point though, it does look good. So if there's anybody in the film industry looking for somebody,
yeah, no, and
you know where to find me.
That's exactly right. Yes, and where can they find you, Evan? By the way, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me right here on your show, LA Live.
That's good. And so Quest Bar had the good sense to hire you as their spokesperson. Is that not correct?
Yeah, well, essentially what I'm doing right now is leading a team of ninja, what we call it the Quest Ninja team. And they don't have to be specific to American Ninja Warrior. We're trying to align ourselves with any athlete, any person truly that's just crushing the limits of human potential. And recently we sponsored a mini documentary on Ronda Rousey, for example. Ronda Rousey, who was last week the first female to compete in the UFC. And she won in the first round, submitted her opponent via armbar, which is her go-to move. And she's just this exceptional talent. We had the chance to meet with her and interview her a couple times, once at Olympia, once at Day of Champions. And she's just such an incredible woman, very dedicated to pushing the limits of human potential. And she proved that in the octagon last week. So it's people like that Quest is trying to find, that we again align ourselves with, because Quest did something that no other protein bar did when they launched, and that was to create something that was a healthy, low carb, all natural, high protein food that you can feel good about eating. And I've been in the fitness industry since American Gladiators, but since before American Gladiators, and I would eat a number of different protein bars to kind of carry me over when I was hungry during the day, but they were loaded with sugar.
Right.
And I didn't realize at the time how much damage that could potentially cause to my body. Right. So I wanted to feel good about what I was eating. So when Quest found me, it made sense, because I'm trying to push limits of human potential by being the first American to win American Ninja Warrior, and they're trying to educate people on how to eat right and present them with products that they can feel good about eating. They're going to help them achieve their goals. So it made sense, and that's what I'm a part of right now. I'm very, very thrilled to be a part of that.
What's in these Quest bars? What is it? Is it whey protein?
Yeah. Whey protein isolate, excuse me. And it's 20 grams per bar, with the exception of the cookie dough. That one actually has 21. And that's our latest bar. And it's just, props to the R&D department and everybody over there, everybody who's in the kitchen. They spend hours and hours and weeks and months refining this product to make it taste the way that it, because if you're using sugar, for example, sugar's a great way to make anything taste good, like like that.
Right.
If you look at Paula Deen, for example,
right.
She adds butter and sugar, and boom, it's a miracle.
I know, exactly right. Yeah, big surprise.
So big
right.
surprise.
Right.
And best to Paula Deen on her.
That's right. Not casting aspersions. We're not. That's right. No.
Best to her. She's doing doing amazing things with her life and turning things around, because obviously she had adult onset diabetes, and now she's making some changes. So, but it takes a lot of hard work and dedication and research to figure out how to make these things taste good. So we have the whole natural line, which is sweetened with erythritol and stevia, natural sweeteners, and then we have the original line, which just has a little bit of sucralose. So you get to pick your sweetener and find out whichever one you prefer. But it's absolutely incredible. We've got 13 amazing flavors, and they're all great for you.
So this is a whey protein bar. So really, a guy at business in the middle of the afternoon could eat one and get 20 grams of protein, and his blood sugar is good for 3 or so hours, right? I mean, it's good for the blood sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, again, we do our best to put only like the best ingredients in these bars, and especially somebody at work. I get asked a lot, running around, I have a very very Googleable track record of American Gladiators and American Ninja Warrior, and I'm Instagramming and Twitter, using Twitter all the time to talk about my fitness and my activities. And when I'm leaving, the Quest office, for example, and I'm going to the gym, sometimes I'm hungry and I need something to carry me over.
Right.
And I'll reach for a Quest bar and eat that, because it curbs the hunger. It gives me the nutrition that I need to fuel a workout. So I'd recommend it truly to anyone.
Well, I do know that I have friends in the wellness profession, and the Quest bars are selling very well. And they're selling so well that the other bars are kind of sitting around gathering dust. Now, and that's not a joke. That is because, you go to GNC, I got some buddies, and at Vitamin Shop, and they say, oh my God, the Quest bars, they just sell. And the other stuff is not so much anymore. So you guys, obviously people like the product, and the product is just doing gangbusters. And then this brand new flavor, chocolate chip cookie dough, was that around a month ago, or is that brand new?
It's brand new. It's brand new, pretty much as about a month ago, 3-4 weeks, I believe, is when we launched this new flavor, and it's our immediately became our highest seller, our top seller, because it does. If you put this in the microwave for 10 seconds, it literally tastes like warm cookie dough, and it is absolutely incredible. And again, we didn't want to release it until it was perfected and refined, and that's exactly what we waited for, and it was truly worth the wait. But as you said, Quest is getting to a point now where we've been around and we are gaining momentum and popularity. So it's not, when I say I'm a part of the Quest Ninja team, it's not what's Quest, it's O Quest. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. It's O Quest. That's quite right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's pretty exciting to be at that point where we're being recognized for what we're doing to the protein bar industry and beyond that.
And the one before this chocolate chip was banana nut, wasn't it?
Yeah, banana nut muffin. Yeah, we launched that one.
I'd be in various shops and people would come in and say, "No, where's the banana nut? I know they have it. Where?" And they'd say, "Oh, we don't have. The stores didn't have it yet."
They didn't have it yet?
Yeah, didn't have it. They were, whatever.
That's a tragedy.
The customers knew about it before the store owners. No, I was at a bunch of stores. People said, no, banana nut, and people would say, no, there is no banana nut. And the customer said, no, there certainly is, and then they would look up and say, yes, there is. You're quite right, and they would order for them. So, no, the Quest bars are doing fantastic. So if I eat one Quest bar, which is 20 grams of protein, I'm really good, right? I'm really good for like 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, depending on your level of activity and your metabolism and all that good stuff. For me, 3 hours is about right. Like I said, it fuels my workout. And then I'll usually grab one after a workout, too, for recovery.
Are these selling to men, to women, to men and women? I mean, who's the market?
It's great to see that it's everybody. For our team was recently at the Arnold in Ohio last weekend.
That was just this past weekend.
Exactly, right. Yeah. So and again, one of those eye-opening experiences where people are coming up to the booth because they're looking for Quest, not because they're wondering what Quest is.
Right.
And that's always encouraging to our team, knowing that we're doing something right and that we're reaching a variety of people. Mm-hmm. So you have the fitness community, the bodybuilding community that knows of our bars, knows of our product. But even then on Facebook, I think we're close to 300,000 followers on Facebook now. Whoa. So Facebook.com, Quest Nutrition. And it's absolutely incredible. And you have people that are trying to, that they're not bodybuilders, but they're trying to make a change in their life.
Sure.
Because maybe like me, they were exposed to, high sugar, unhealthy opportunity, supplements before.
Right.
And now they're finally getting educated on what is best for their body. So they're trying to make a change. They're trying to transform. And we have those people who are, trying to lose weight and, achieve their fitness goals that way.
Sure.
So maybe they're not trying to be the next, Arnold or whatever, but they are trying to turn their life around and be healthier than they ever had before. And we're excited to be a part of that journey for them.
And where can I buy these Quest bars?
Well, you mentioned GNC, Vitamin Shop.
We're a handful of national chains.
Yep, national chains. A handful of other smaller vitamin shops or nutrition shops as well.
Sure.
And then questnutrition.com is a great place to get our bars as well.
So a Quest Nutrition bar, so can I actually order online too? Let's say I'm living in Montana somewhere, and so I can you could ship it to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And 20 grams of protein, and how many carbs?
It varies. 2 to 7, I believe, active carbs.
So it's really very little in the carbs.
Very low carbs, yeah. But still enough to give you a little bit of energy, and they're high fiber, which is great. And so obviously the equation there with active carbs is you take the carbohydrates, subtract any amount of fiber that's in them, and that's what you have the active carbs that your body is actually using. So that's what we have, 2 to 6, 2 to 7-ish around there for active carbs for every single one of our bars, and it's just phenomenal.
Is there a best-selling flavor?
I would say cookie dough, right? Really? Honestly, took off more than we even expected. Then we have chocolate brownie, which is a very popular flavor as well. We have cinnamon roll, which is very popular. Chocolate peanut butter.
The apple pie, a bunch of people have told me that is their favorite. The apple pie, they said, you just pop it in the oven there for a second and it heats it up and they love it. So the apple pie I've seen here in Southern California, maybe I'm attracting people who like that one, but they say, the apple pie, they like the apple pie. So I just want to mention that. So every flavor is great. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's good because you do have something for everybody and enough for variety in your own life. So I was addicted more or less to the chocolate brownie flavor for a long time because I had a sweet tooth and loved chocolate and the brownies, but again, I didn't want to be consuming too much sugar. So when I found out that Quest bar had a chocolate brownie flavor, I was all over it.
Right.
And then I kind of transitioned over to the cinnamon roll. I've been on that for a while. Got over to the strawberry cheesecake, now the cookie dough. And it's just great to be able to mix it up and to feel good about what you're putting in your body again.
I read one of your little blogs the other day about competing in an event, and you were mentioning how your brother just got married, and you're doing some running and stuff. I read that, and I enjoyed that little blog. And so, what about the running community? Has the running community do they have an interest in these? Can they actually eat these on a long run? Will it sit nicely when they're running if they're going to do a long run?
That's a great question. It depends on the level of intensity that you're bringing to the table.
Right.
So one of the marks that we're trying to get into is this adventure obstacle racing. It's hugely popular. You have races like Spartan and Warrior Dash, Tough Mudder, where they're taking cross country and blending it with off-road running and obstacle course racing. And so they're huge events that you go to. So someone like Hobie Call, for example, he's an incredible obstacle athlete.
What's his name?
His name is Hobie Call.
Okay.
And he is based out of Utah, and he is just crushing every single Spartan race that there is, beating people's times by tens of minutes, not just seconds. And so when he's racing through this course as fast as he can, I don't know that I would recommend for him, busting out a protein bar and just like these elite marathon runners, they might grab a gel pack or two, but they're going 5-minute pace, completing this marathon. But someone who's just getting into it, like I said, of the people that we have on Facebook, where they're trying to lose weight and turn their life around, I would probably halfway through a half marathon or a marathon, munch on half of one of these, keep the energy high and going. Yeah, for sure.
Well, Evan, it's been a great pleasure having you as a guest on Here's to Your Health. You represent Quest Nutrition. And once again, how can we buy Quest bars?
You can go, again, they're available at GNC Vitamin Shop, but the best way to get them is through questnutrition.com.
Very good.
Very
good. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host, Ferran Dozier. I'm inviting you to join me on WDC Radio every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we discuss community topics around health, sports, and entertainment. So don't forget to shout us out. What's the count? On WDC Radio, only on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. What's the count?
Okra Group Personal Chefs, proud sponsors of Let's Do Lunch with Chef Richard Petty. Okra Group Personal Chefs have been providing quality gourmet culinary services to distinctive homes since 2004. For a free evaluation of dietary needs, call 818-850-9584. That's 818-850-9584. We will design a custom menu that fits your needs. So call us today. Okra Group Personal Chefs. Let us personally make you a dish.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Stream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And our guest is Roger, the educator for Warrior Force Foods, national company doing vegan nutrition. Am I correct?
Correct.
And Roger, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. And so these products are for the athlete, or I guess for everyone, but they are vegan. And what does the word vegan mean exactly?
You know, we don't actually lead with the philosophy of being vegan as a company in this particular line of sports performance. But what it means to us is it's the highest standard you can possibly produce. It's going to be the cleanest it can possibly be, no toxins in the body. So when we talk about vegan or plant-based nutrition, it's our belief that if you put things together in the right formulations, you can have incredible enhancements of performance without any of the toxic side effects that some of the more modern products can create.
Right, exactly. So besides being a product for the athlete and for the person interested in wellness, I think the real idea about your products is the ingredients are very clean. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, some people might not know how you and I use the word clean, which obviously is a broad term. So the Warrior Force products, what do they have that's good, and what do they have that, in your opinion, you're avoiding?
Well, let's talk about one of the key philosophies of the company. So the creator of it is Dr. James Sheridan. He's a naturopath and a hardcore herbal researcher. Mm-hmm. He founded the company in 1991. And one of the things he wanted to do was to get away from the traditional model of let's try to process things and make it better than nature.
Yes.
No one's going to do it better than nature. So Dr. Sheridan formulated everything literally 100% from nature, even down to flavorings, for example. On our Warrior Food Protein Powder, you'll see vanilla or you'll see chocolate.
Yes.
Well, we're not using artificial flavors there. In the chocolate, we're using 100% organic heirloom cacao. But Dr. Sheridan is absolutely obsessed about the purity and potency of the products. So he's taken something to a new level, and that is the organic standard. Mm-hmm. Our particular company has trademarked a term called Truganic. And Truganic, to us, involves all the purity of the product. And what it means, very simply, is where organic standards allow you to have some trace herbicides, trace insecticides, things like that, where they allow mild irradiation of the food to accomplish sanitization.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I did not know. Really? Irradiation is allowed in an organic product?
In a very mild way. It's a lower level, but still it's allowed.
Oh, my goodness.
So we don't do that. And we sanitize our food using magnetics. And then we also take the organic standard and we say, okay, if we can have trace as an organic standard, let's take it up a notch and demand zero trace. So anyone who sources with us as far as supplying product for our formulas has to pass our third-party validated lab testing that will show zero trace. We also harvest some of our product from nature. And as soon as you wild craft from nature, the FDA says you can no longer become organically certified.
Right.
So it has to be contained within farms to get organic certification.
Right.
We've decided to raise the bar. And what we're really challenging the industry to do is to step up to the Truganic standard and just self-police yourselves to that level.
Okay, well, that seems very fair. And you'd mentioned your chocolate was from cacao. Now, for some viewers, what is cacao?
Well, cacao nibs. So this is a phenomenal superfood in and of itself. We put it in there for a couple of reasons. One, it acts as a flavor enhancer.
Tastes fantastic.
Yeah, but cacao in and of itself is very bitter. So we've offset some of that with stevia. But when we use stevia, again, we want to keep it in whole food form. So we literally use the entire stevia leaf and all the amazing cofactors that superfood has.
And stevia is a sweetener, right?
Yes.
And it does not adversely affect blood sugar. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right.
And that's the entire point.
And it tastes good, actually. It seems like a safe sweetener.
I would agree with you. And you know, there's products out there that will use stevia to excess, and then the product kind of takes on this very unique stevia kind of flavor. We don't do that. We just have it lightly in there so that you get a nice neutral balance on the flavor.
Sure. And so you use what? Hemp protein and brown rice protein with you, and those are vegan, meaning that they're not animal products.
Correct. Yeah. Nothing in our company would ever use an animal product of any kind. Dr. Sheridan is vegan, and that is the company philosophy completely, without a doubt. And with regard to the warrior food, like you were talking about, we take hemp protein and we combine it with brown rice, but we actually go the extra step and sprout that brown rice prior to putting it into an ultra fine grind powder. Mm-hmm. And what we have found is by doing that process and also putting it into an ultra fine grind, the bioavailability of it, its absorption into the body to actually work, is profound. We really think that you need less protein to get the job done when it's being absorbed properly.
Right.
And of course, the kidneys are not going to go under excess strain trying to process all that protein.
Right. And so when you sprout it, you increase the vitamin, mineral, enzyme content.
Correct.
That's the idea. And just theoretically, does it make any product easier to digest? That's the thinking, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And in my own personal use on this product, I actually found this company 4 years ago, and I went to work for them a couple of years ago as the National Director of Sales and Marketing. When I found the company, I'd experimented with virtually every kind of protein you can imagine out there. Mm-hmm. I always noticed that there seemed to be some digestion issues. I would have, maybe a little gas or bloating at the least.
No, that's definitely an issue. People like to smile when they talk about that because they think, oh my God, you had gas from that whey protein. And obviously when you have gas, I think it does show that you're having difficulty digesting the product. Is that not an accurate statement?
I believe that's completely accurate. Yeah. And what I noticed when I switched to this particular product, those issues just went away. And
that's good.
It's good, especially when you're lifting heavy in the gym, and everybody else appreciates that.
Yeah, Roger, you're correct. But also you realize, just as far as the body doing well on something, you realize, oh no, I'm doing good on this. Because if you're getting a lot of gas from something, or if it's making your skin break out or giving you a headache, then from my perspective, that product is not for you.
Yeah, I would completely agree. You're having some type of allergic response in the body. It's not processing well. A lot of times that can be related to your intestinal flora and not having good enzyme count and things like that.
Right.
But in general, if you're experiencing those symptoms, you need to be looking at what is going in the machine in this beautiful temple of our body, and how is that going to show up later. I get a little bit of a pay me now, pay me later kind of attitude every now and then from folks.
Right. Yeah, because some people think, oh no, I have to put up with this incredible gas thing because I want to have the size and stuff. But really, they don't have to do that.
They do not. I'm 51 years old, and I've been going on a bit of a increase in musculature type of exercise program using this warrior food.
Right.
And I've put on in the last 6 months approximately 18 pounds of muscle.
No kidding.
And when you're 51, you're not supposed to be able to do that. And then of course, using vegan products, you're not supposed to be able to do that, right? But this is absolutely not true.
Okay, and so this product is called Warrior Force, and we're talking about the Extreme product.
Yeah, Warrior Food Extreme.
And tell me what the ingredients are. Tell me once again.
The bottom line on this one is pretty simple. Sprouted brown rice combined with hemp seed.
Right.
But we add a couple of things into it to help. And one of those things is the nopal cactus. So nopal cactus is the medicinal form is a very bitter form of prickly pear cactus. Mm-hmm. Has amazing blood sugar regulation. So we have that in there. In the vanilla, we're using rhodiola or Arctic root for liver kidney support. And in the chocolate version, we've actually put a little spirulina in there for the same reason, plus an added protein content.
So this product, NOPAL, that's a prickly pear cactus. And what does that do for me again?
It helps to regulate blood sugar in the body. It's also really nice because there's the easiest way to describe this with nopal, it is a great performance booster for pre-workout. So what it does is it helps you obtain peak performance sooner and maintain it longer. When I first heard about this particular product, and we actually have a nopal product called Warrior Endurance here, I didn't really think that was going to work as well as it said it would. But the amazing thing was for me, I was able to warm up faster. It actually helps to release these proteins in the body that help you to warm up quicker. So I was not only able to hit peak threshold, but I hit it sooner. And then I maintained significantly longer. And this is the feedback I constantly get on this product.
And on a personal level, how much of this do you use a day, and how do you use it?
Well, typically what I will do is I will use 4 scoops of the Warrior food, and I make a big protein shake. I cut that in half. So I'm drinking half of it as a pre-workout and then half as post-workout recovery. Each one of those shakes will give me 16 or 17 grams of protein.
That's plenty.
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 Yep.
And what do you mix it in?
I personally like to mix it in with some type of non-dairy milk. I think it works very well with an unsweetened organic almond milk. It goes great in rice milk, hemp milk, any of those types of things. And
okay.
For folks using dairy out there, if you're choosing to use dairy, it mixes phenomenally well with that as well. I highly recommend if you're going to use the chocolate that you stick with some form of a milk. And if you're using vanilla, it mixes in with anything.
Right. So could you also mix it in carrot juice?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And when you take this, you like a half an hour before you work out?
30 minutes before I work out, and then I use my warm-up during that time. When I'm ready to go, I'm on.
And you really actually gained 18 pounds?
Yes.
On these Warrior Food products?
Yes.
Yeah, because as we get older, the little surprise is we start to lose mass. That's a surprise that caught me by surprise, but it catches many men by surprise. Men who are like good-sized men, all of a sudden they hit like, 45, 50, 55, whatever. Suddenly they end up looking like, Woody Allen. You look, I'm not, but you get very scrawny, and people think, whoa, because I know when I hit a certain age and I started to get real scrawny, I thought, I'm not happy about this. It caught me completely by surprise. I'm a very careful eater. I thought, it didn't dawn on me that would happen. And so I really worked around that so that I wanted more mass. I really, for the first time in my life, wanted to be bigger. As a young teenage boy, I didn't necessarily want that look. But as an older man, I thought, I do not want that scrawny look. I found I did not want it, and I really worked to not have it. And frankly, it was actually easy to do, but I really had to work at it. And it really it caught me completely by surprise.
I would agree. In the aging process, it's, again, pay me now, pay me later kind of philosophy, right? So when I look at that, I just think, well, if I put a little extra work in now, the dividends are going to pay off later.
Right.
But the other side of that coin is when you take a look at some of the nutrition, there's some products out there that put the body under stress.
Yes.
They achieve results. There's no doubt about it. Some of them put on a lot of muscle, but at what cost? And when I look at myself,
that's a fair question.
When I look at myself today, and I think, well, how long do I want to be vibrant in my body? Well, right up to the end. And
right.
The thing I can look you straight in the eye here, Joshua, and tell you is, because these products are 100% from nature, and Dr. Sheridan, an extreme athlete himself, has formulated them, I trust that these products are not going to harm my body, that I can take them for the rest of my life.
And when you've already been using them for a couple of years, and you feel good on them.
I feel terrific. I've actually been using these products exclusively for the last 4 years.
And what is the variation on the products? Tell me something you really like. For example, what is this one? Is this kind of variation on the theme?
Yeah.
Or this is greens?
Yeah, well, let's take a little rundown here on that. That one you have right there, the Warrior Food Elite Green Protein. This actually has been Dr. Sheridan's personal workout formula for many years, and he decided to finally put it out on the market last year at much urging from me because it's a phenomenal product. But it's really the first green protein that's been out there. And the green protein source is...
So it's chlorophyll rich and with protein.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So the two base products in there are spirulina and chlorella. And those two together, a couple of tablespoons of that, you've got 16 grams of green protein. But beyond that, you're not beyond the protein, of course, you're getting all the amazing array of micronutrients that the super greens give you, including great oxygenation. So everything is enhanced by it. This actually just won the Best of Raw Green Proteins for 2012.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a wonderful award.
There's a lot of competition for that now.
Absolutely.
And how much of the spirulina chlorella do you need? How much do you need of that?
And that's actually, I really like that question because you'll notice on the serving sizes, it usually says 2 tablespoons. And it is across the board. Your body is going to metabolize differently than my body. So I have found with most of these products, the sweet spot for me is a single tablespoon, and I'm really in perfect shape. With the protein powder, I use 2. But with all the other products, I like 1. I know people who will use a half a teaspoon and have amazing results with it. And I know other people who will do up to 6 tablespoons of it because that's where they feel vibrant. I always tell everybody, just start with a teaspoon and then slowly increase from there and see how your body reacts to it. You will find that sweet spot. And one thing to keep in mind with these products, because you're getting so much fiber and so much chlorophyll and oxygenation of your cells, you will have more than likely a cleansing reaction if you go too big too soon.
Aha.
Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing,
right?
But it can be uncomfortable for people and if you're not used to cleansing. So if you're really not a person who eats a lot of greens, this is a great formula for you to get those vitamins and nutrients. I know from talking with a lot of bodybuilders out there, the ones that are really serious, going into amateur and professional shows, every one of them basically is eating overcooked broccoli. And that's about the only source of greens they get, that and asparagus,
Right, yeah.
So I'm looking at those folks, and we've been having some great conversations, and all of them tell me, I definitely don't get enough greens. Well, this is one way to get those greens and get some protein without compromising anything else in your contest prep. You're not adding significant calories, there's no fats, there's no sugars, so you'd really be in a whole lot better condition standing up there on stage.
And I mix this also with like rice milk, hemp milk, almond milk. Is that it?
With the greens, I personally think that they really mix well in a fruit or vegetable-based smoothie. It seems like when you take the greens and put it into a milk, first of all, it's going to look a little strange, right?
Yeah.
The taste just isn't all that great. But when you mix it in with a nice vegetable-based smoothie or a fruit-based smoothie, awesome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Roger. For those of you just tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health, we're speaking with Roger, the educator for Warrior Force, how long has it been? 5 or 6 years it been around? Or no, you said since 91.
Yeah, since 1991.
Yeah, and you do vegan protein supplements, which is a category that's really been growing the past, I'll say 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, in 1991, your boss was probably pretty lonely. But now people's like, oh yeah, we understand what that is, But not in 91. I know they didn't know it was in 91, really. Now, what about these capsules that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, I'd just like to comment on that last piece you said. That you're right about that.
Yeah.
The company was really in a niche market for kind of the raw, organic, whole food community, and it's a very small market.
Right.
Now,
Small
today,
market,
we just looked at some industry trends, and what is trending the biggest is the truly all-natural plant-based products. They are actually on the biggest swing up that we've ever seen, so it's terrific.
Yeah, there's a much larger market for quality products now because people have been educated and the ideas were not just fashionable, the ideas had merit, and so they remain. Sometimes something's fashionable, in a year or two it's gone, but if something works, then it just spreads. People really get into it in a way that they didn't, because I remember in the 60s and 70s when people laughed at this subject. And now people are into it in much larger numbers because it works. So
yeah, well, you've been around for a while in this industry, and you have seen all those trends. So I very much appreciate that.
It's kind of very nice to see how the ideas were good, they had merit, and so therefore the market has grown enormously. And frankly, as a young guy, I could never have predicted this. I didn't see it. I didn't have the vision. I thought, oh no, it'll be always a small, and I was completely wrong. So,
well, that's a good one to be wrong.
Yeah, that's a very good one to be wrong. Yeah, I just couldn't see it.
Well, yeah, the capsules that we have here, we've put together, one of the things when you're an athlete, we've got all these things going on in our environment already.
Yeah.
We have over 80,000 different types of environmental toxins that are in the environment now. We've got electromagnetic radiation all around us. We've got processed foods all around us. So the body was never designed to be saturated in all those toxins.
Right.
Add to that the oxidative stress of exercising, especially for those folks who are really hitting it hard, and the body can break down. So we get a lot of free radical damage out of those kinds of things, and Dr. Sheridan wanted to create a recovery formula, something that would really help not only with all the environmental toxins and things that are in the air, but with the recovery from workout stress.
Sure.
A couple of reasons for that. Number one, it's going to happen, so you need to take care of it so you don't end up with long-term damage. But number two, it gets you back in the game sooner. And for an athlete, especially somebody who's serious about training and getting into competitions, this is absolutely critical.
Sure.
So for us, the ORAC value on this is just off the charts. Nothing touches it out there in the industry, and it absorbs extremely well. When I started taking this particular product,
what does ORAC mean?
Yeah, oxygen radical absorption capacity.
Uh-huh.
So it's one measurement to show how the body is fighting free radical damage. And it's the standard in the industry to determine the ORAC value determines how potent your particular product is at doing that.
Right.
Now, there's many other factors that become involved, but this is the one that the industry has kind of grabbed onto as the benchmark or foundation for the product and how it'll show up.
Sure.
Yep. So, with this particular product, what I noticed was if I was doing an exercise routine and I was extremely sore, sometimes you just, get in that place. I might take 2 or even 3 days before I might be able to get back and do that same routine again as the muscles are recovering and whatnot. But what I noticed with this, in about 24 to 30 hours, I would be back and ready to go. So just about a day, day and a half, as opposed to a 3-day recovery after a heavy exercise or a competition. And for me, that was amazing.
In other words, same amount of exercise effort, and then with the addition of this new nutrient, you saw an improvement of 50%.
Exactly.
Okay, that's actually that's very good.
Well, the one thing that I really liked about this line, when I first heard about this company, I thought, wow, their labels are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
We're kind of the Doc Bronner's of labels. We get a lot of information on
exactly.
there, right?
Exactly. You're quite right. Yes, the Dr. Bronner school of put everything on the label, right? For sure. Yes, absolutely.
And we want to get that message out there. And I thought, well, there's a lot of things on here. And one of the things that Dr. Sheridan says is, hype is nothing, substance is everything.
Right.
Well, I spent 20 years in law enforcement. So I'm one of those people that you're going to have to convince me beyond just your words.
Right.
So I went down to San Diego and I met with Dr. Sheridan, spent quite a bit of time with him, toured his facility, and realized this is a guy walking his talk. And what I realized from these products was this is going to be absolutely the best thing I can put in my body. But I'm still not convinced. I can see the processing, I can see the true organic standards, I can see all those things, but how do I feel?
Right.
If you really are claiming you've got superfoods, you should notice a tangible difference in your body and your wellness and your performance.
Right.
So, we can talk about this all day long, but the truth is when you put it in your body, you're going to know.
Right. And for those of you just tuning in, we're speaking with Roger, the educator for Warrior Force products. How can I buy Warrior Force products? Where are they available?
Well, this is the new line from the parent company Health Force Nutritionals, and that's the company Dr. Sheridan founded back in 1991. So the absolute best place to guarantee to get this online is our website, which will also be the best prices you can get. Right. We always guarantee that, so that's an absolute.
So let me have the website.
And the website is warriorforce.com.
Warriorforce.com. Well, Roger, thank you for being guest today on Here's to Your Health. I think these are excellent products. I'm happy to recommend them. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We'll be right back after these important messages. Roger.
You suffer from degenerative diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, fibroid tumors, high cholesterol, genital herpes, or a plethora of other diseases that rob you of a quality life. If so, then visit the website of herbalist Tahuti Ma'atra at dhealthstore.com and open the door to natural healing at an affordable price. dhealthstore.com has over 1,800 products created by herbalist Tahuti Ma'atra, specifically designed to help you heal the natural and safe way. At dhealthstore.com, you'll find everything from herbal formulas and cleanses, such as Tahuti's famous full body detox, as well as herbal teas, extracts, natural body butters, lotions, creams, children's products, hair care products, and of course, sexual enhancement products for both men and women. So visit the website of Tahuti Ma'atra, dhealthstore.com, or call toll free at 1-888-823-9416, dhealthstore.com.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. And my next guest is a champion bodybuilder, powerlifter, well-known internationally, and frankly, if there are 5 most influential international bodybuilders, Franco Columbu, who is our guest today, is one of those 5. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Franco Columbu. Mr. Columbu, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. And now, after all that long introduction, I don't have to say anything anymore.
Well, no, actually, I'm sure you have lots to say. A lot of people are very happy with you as an athlete, as a sports figure. As a matter of fact, I was speaking with Samir Banout,
yes,
the winner of Mr. Olympia, and he told me that in '83, when he was competing, he did the morning, and then he had terrible cramping, and a bunch of people wanted him to drop out, and he's told me that you worked on his stomach and got rid of stomach pain, and he competed, and he won Mr. Olympia that year in '83.
Yes, that's true. It was actually Munich, Germany.
Oh, it was Munich?
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, so you are now a graduate chiropractor. You are a practicing chiropractor here in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And so, as a young boy, did you just have an interest in wellness? Is that it? You just thought it was fun?
No, actually, I grew up with my mother. And my mother, she used to go around in the town treating horses and animals.
Oh, really?
And I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, and I couldn't figure it out. What is she doing, And she's pulling and pushing things. And actually, I grew up watching that, and I thought it was very fascinating. And sometimes when you're introduced as a kid like that, you might become a healer. Everybody has a healing potential, but you have to bring it out.
Right. And so your mom worked with herbs, and it was just something that your mom did, and so it's something you did, right? Is that it? Just did you think about it?
My mother, she just did it. She did it through prayers and through touching. Like, I remember that was a horse that he was lying down. He couldn't get up, and the veterinarian said he's all bloated. Leave him there, and he's going to die. And this lady, for the last resort, said, let me try, Dia Maria was my mother's name. And she goes over there, and she starts moving around this horse and pulling and pushing. And I said to myself, the horse is going to kick my mother. It's going to fall all over the place. She was a tiny woman. And this horse got up, walked, lived. And I remember they used to talk about this. Yeah, that veterinarian, we need to talk with him, And this is the kind of stuff you grow up. But actually, when I grew up, and I was when I came to the United States and I started training, I had an elbow problem, and I tried everything to get rid of this elbow problem. And for the first time, a chiropractor actually helped me between lining up the elbow and doing some simple ultrasound.
Right.
And when that improved, I developed an interest. I said, maybe chiropractic is so connected to bodybuilding, to muscles, because chiropractors work on bones, do adjustment, but also on muscles, and they do physiotherapy, ultrasound, and all that, and exercises. And a combination to treat structural problems such as shoulder, elbow, legs, knee. The best treatment is actually when you know what to do and what not to do. For example, every time you get an injury, it's always an exercise you should immediately stop doing, and it's another exercise that helps the injury. So here we need knowledge. We need to know what I don't do and what do I do.
Right.
And corrective exercises, and then muscle work is actually so important part of the chiropractic treatment, for example, that since I'm a bodybuilder and I won the Olympia and I'm expert on muscles, what I do with my patients, I implement in the treatment 80-90% muscle work and the treatment in purely adjustment is down to 8-10%.
Right. And so because of your background with your mom, these ideas that many of us now see as mainstream, but when you were a young man in the late 50s, 60s, these ideas were considered a joke, weren't they? I mean, no one would listen to you.
But it was very different because even in small towns, they don't have doctors available. They have no chiropractors at that time.
Right.
And they used to when something goes wrong with your elbow, they say, "Oh, yeah, I got to go to Giantoni over there. He's the bone man." And it sounded like, what? It's like a veterinarian, And he would grab your elbow and straighten it out as much as he could, and you're done. You go home. And there's primitive healing ways and healing systems that when we coming to LA, to the most modern colleges and education, I think will help to implement your instinct, natural healing areas with the regular treatment.
I agree with you. Now, I was watching a video that you did recently with Arnold Schwarzenegger speaking about the promoter and bodybuilder, entrepreneur, Cat, I think his name was.
Yes.
Who passed away. He was 94. So, and 94 is good. Obviously, I'm sorry he passed away, but 94 is a decent age.
Jack LaLanne passed at 94. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was 94. I thought he would last a lot longer. I was a little surprised he died so young. I thought, oh my God, this guy's going to live to 110, no problem.
I tell you right now, his lifespan should be more than 100. He did so many good things, but one of the things I saw in the last 2, 3, 4 years, I used to criticize him, by the way. Every time I saw him, I said, "Jack, you need to put muscle, you need to gain weight." He was so hyper and so active that his body was with the minimum weight. And I used to actually tell him, because I'm good at that stuff, in longevity. And I say, "Jack, you need to gain little weight, because if you get pneumonia or you get a cold, it's going to drag you away." And he will make fun of me, because Jack was a very, very friendly and active. And he said, "Yeah, Franco, I'm older than you, so I know more, It was like always fighting.
Right.
And I tell you the truth, he was almost, after 80, overactive. He never stopped 1 minute. I did a show one time in San Francisco. He opened a gymnasium many years ago. And that is when I found out that he was not normal in my mind, And when I do an exercise, like we were doing sitting pulley,
okay,
with an universal machine type, and I do my 10, 20, 50 reps, maybe 50 pounds, 100, doesn't matter how much it is. And he says, "Okay, let's do now sitting pulley, and we're going to have the TV and the radio here. Everybody's here. It's a big gym opening." So I do my pulleys, 25 reps, done. He sits down, and he starts pulling. And I waited and I said, "I'm going to go for lunch," and come back. He's still doing it. And I'm not joking. He was still doing it for 2-3 hours straight. And what he did was he put the minimum weight, like 5, 10, 15 pounds, doing 1,000 reps. I said, "Jack, why? Why 1,000 reps?" And he says, "You got to have condition. You got to do it forever,
And so in your opinion, that was just too much?
No, it did everything right, except that when he got older, my opinion was like his body weight, he kept it to the minimum. And I said to myself, this is one good thing, that if you have a little bit more muscles, it's very healthy, because the muscle stores the glycogen. Glycogen is the stored energy that we use when we do things.
Right.
And that glycogen is stored 1/3 in the liver and 2/3 in the muscle tissue. So if you don't have enough muscle, you store less glycogen, so you have to eat sooner.
All right.
It's very interesting how the diet, the way it works is when you eat, for example, carbohydrates, the body uses them in 2 hours. When you eat protein meal, the body uses up between 2 and 4 hours.
Right.
Therefore, if you don't eat longer than 4 hours, the stored glycogen, when you go to exercise and stuff, the body starts taking that back. Therefore, it would be good to have more muscle. But I have to tell you, Jack LaLanne had a great long life, healthy. He never stopped, by the way. I never saw him. You could never get him to carry a cane, crutches, or let's say you put him in the wheelchair, he will fly out.
Right.
He was that type of a guy.
Well, I guess he did take care of himself, and also, obviously, some ideas that you and I know now, that everyone else knows too.
Yes.
In 1970, no one really knew the ideas, right? For example, here's an idea, the idea that 70% of the immune system is in the GI tract, and that's why we're all using probiotics. Most of us take that as a matter of for granted right now, but say in 2000, none of us really knew that. We didn't really know that, did we?
There are many details we didn't know then, and one of them was remember that the fathers and the grandfathers, you can say that Charles Atlas, Jack LaLanne,
right,
and probably Joe Vida and John Greenmack and all these guys, they were probably the first people who really exercised on this planet. Before that, in World War I, people didn't do that. So the grandmothers and our grandfathers, they don't live as long, some because of the diet not being as good as today, and also no exercises. Today, people are living much longer.
Right.
I come from an area in my town in Sardinia, is the center of the island, that are the longest living people in a circle of 10 or 20 small towns. We have, out of 1,000 people of 100 in Italy, 500-600 come from these little towns near my town.
Right.
And they all live 105, 107, And we actually have 9 in one family.
Whoa.
And equals 900 years.
Wow.
It's just 890, something like that. They say, I say, I hope no one dies. They get to 900 in 9 years. If one dies, it would be 100 years less.
That'd be much more time, that's right.
And
by the way, the whole idea of large numbers of us living to 100, that is not science fiction. That's just very doable, isn't it?
It's totally normal. But the body was meant to live between 120 and 150 years. That's its
really?
cycle.
Is that you think? Okay.
Yes. So let's say we live only to 100. Means we are making 25 years of little mistakes here and there.
Right.
Like, let's say too much coffee takes a minute away from your life, and too much of some other drink, or too much of, let's say, eating too much, or
right.
Or the little mistakes accumulate minutes per time in your lifetime and reduces your lifespan. So the idea is, how can you now think on that little bit and say, wait a minute, I'm going to start slowing down. And like in my case, when you're competing, I didn't care. You compete, I build muscles to win.
Right.
Right now, I think different. I think now, how can I live longer without getting sick?
Right.
And I promote that with my patients in my office. In my office, I don't just do chiropractic. I do chiropractic care. I talk to them immediately about the food, the exercises, and the combination is what makes them. I feel like I'm the best chiropractor probably because I have the most success in healing people with the combination, though.
Right.
It's not just one thing. And
Right.
the same applies to the less mistakes you made and the more the right things you do, you live longer.
So as a young man, you were one of the premier international bodybuilders. And that was, you enjoyed the sport and you saw the sport has merit. And now, as a 71-year-old man who's in great health, I'm assuming you're in great health, you certainly look very vital.
Yes.
Is there anything that in retrospect you think, well, that idea in the 70s or 80s or 90s that I thought was a good idea was really only fashionable, it really wasn't a good idea?
Oh, so many things I can tell you about that. For example, when people train, you train to build muscles. The muscles you see in the mirror, you're going to train. What people do, they train chest and biceps. You know what? After competed, because I wanted to build muscles to win, I did that.
Sure.
Now, I think balancing. I only give exercise to my patients or to myself to balance the muscles. In other words, injuries. Let's say, for example, shoulder injuries. You get them from having an imbalance between the chest and the back. You get elbow injuries, it means the tricep might be too weak and the bicep too tight or too strong. Wrist problems, it comes from a lot that the lateral, the outsides of the elbow is more muscular than the inside. So balancing is what it's all about.
And would you say, do you mostly attract patients to your practice as a chiropractor here in LA who are your age? Is that who is attracted to you?
No. My client is completely different. Number one, if you come to the street, I don't have a name on the street. Only the number and the address, because people come in and some people call me and they say, I can't find the place. I send my secretary out looking for them. The reason is all my patients, 100% are recommended by another patient.
Ah, right.
In other words, you in your family, you say, I went to Franco. In 2 times he treated my shoulder. You got an elbow problem, see Franco first. That's really my entire client, 100%.
Well, that seems like kind of an evolution on your mom's practice, doesn't it?
But it helps that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really does, yeah. And let me ask you, if you don't mind, just a personal question.
Yes.
What do you eat now that you think this is a good idea and this is what I eat? For example, can I ask, what did you have for breakfast? Can I ask that?
I didn't have breakfast this morning. I was too busy.
Oh, too busy. Okay. Fasting today. Okay, very good. And what would you usually have for breakfast?
I usually have very little. Their best breakfast I recommend is people should eat, not immediately get up and eat. You should wait an hour. Number 2, the best food in the morning will have to get like a small percent of carboprotein, which will be, let's say, a piece of bread with 2 eggs, let's say.
Okay.
That will be the best food in the morning I recommend, because it's light, it's not heavy, eggs are not bulk, not too much roughage. And by the way, I want to explain this to the people in the audience, because you have a great audience. I want them to know once for all that pasta, rice, potato, bread is not a carbohydrate. It is a carbohydrate and protein. And people talk about that like it's a carbohydrate, like you're committing a crime when you eat them or something.
Right.
You know, it's a protein. All these things I mentioned, they have like 100 grams of bread, 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of rice or potato. They have 6 to 8 grams of protein. And 1 egg only has 6.5 grams of protein. So it does have carbohydrates, but I want you to understand this. You don't need to separate protein and carb. It's already mixed. And the bottom line is that. And one more thing I want to say very quick to you and to your audience. And this is very, very important. The brain only feeds on oxygen and carbohydrates. So people who go on a protein diet and don't eat carbohydrates, they are starving the brain. And I don't have proof, but it could cause maybe a form of a brain cell destruction. You know? So I want you to think. You want to build up muscles, carbohydrates to train, protein to build the muscle, and carbohydrates and oxygen to the brain.
All right. Well, that seems very fair. And so do you follow a program that people do better if they eat, say, protein and complex carbohydrate, say, 3 or 4 times a day? Is that the basic protocol?
The basic protocol is very simple. The least time is they should eat carbohydrates. You're right, 2-3 times a day is fine, morning, noon, and night. But the least carbohydrates they should eat should be in the evening, because you're retiring, you go to sleep, you're not going to use them. And that will be like, let's say for lunch you might have, pasta or rice or potato. For dinner it would be better to have a salad instead of the potato, because you're not exercising to use it. And there's one more important thing I have to tell you, and that is a lot of people in the nutritionist business says it doesn't matter when you eat. You eat too many calories or too little. No. The calories are better to eat them early, because at night you don't move enough, and when you start lying down, the body reduces the amount of calories it burns per hour. It would be nice not to have too many calories sitting there, because that will be stored.
All right.
You know?
All right. And for say, okay, so you're 71. And so how many grams of protein a day do you feel you require to maintain your vitality?
The best ways that everybody understands this immediately is the average of protein you eat per day should be about the same amount as you weigh in kilos.
All right.
Let's say you weigh to 10, that makes, let's say, 100 kilos. Then it's 100 grams of protein. You weigh 60 kilos, 60 grams of protein will be the ideal. If you eat 50 or 60, you're fine. But if you eat too much protein, let's say you weigh 60 kilos, and now you eat 80 grams of protein, that means that 20 grams of protein, you should only take them if you're training to build muscle. Because then, to build muscle, I need more protein. That's what I calculated my training in bodybuilding. I say I weighted, let's say, 185, and that about, let's say, 90 grams of protein. And then I say, good, 90 grams maintains my body weight, and I'm going to eat another 25 to build up more muscle to win in competition. That's how you do it. And one more thing, by the way, very quick, I tell you. When you eat more protein, you need to accompany this protein with other things. One of them is the brain does not know that you're eating more protein. So it does not make extra hydrochloric acid to burn that protein. You should take enzymes then. Number 2, the B6 converts the protein into amino acid and helps transport it. Okay. Extra B6 because you're eating extra protein. The step number 3, you never believe what it is. You have to train to attract the protein to the muscle.
Right.
So you need all the steps, otherwise you get no muscle.
I remember many years ago I was doing Bikram yoga, and the gossip was that you and Arnold had been taking Bikram yoga classes in LA. Is that true, that old piece of gossip from 35, 40 years ago?
No, we took like few classes here and there. We felt like stiff like boards, and we took a couple of classes. And then also, the first time I did some ballet gymnastics, we were in New York and we were filming Pumping Iron, and you can see it in Pumping Iron in the opening. We go there, we didn't know what we were doing, and this girl kept pulling my leg up to the bar, and my hamstring was so tight, and they were pulling and pulling, and finally, like in the first scene in Pumping Iron, the first line was me saying to Arnold, "You're disturbing me. Like, get away from the area." And the funny part was, after that, we thought, this is very weird, but we feel like we can pose better. We take a couple ballet classes, and we did some yoga because of that.
And in retrospect, the yoga was just added to your practice. It made you maybe more flexible, or gave you a different sense of body awareness?
The truth is, we didn't do enough. We were too busy training with weights.
Right.
But it really, really, really felt like we could bend more the next day. I could touch my hands on the floor instead of the fingers. All this little stuff. I was like, wow,
And are you doing any body work today? Are you doing yoga classes today? Are you doing Pilates today? Is there any protocol that you follow?
I practice some gymnastic today. I do some gymnastic, and then my daughter does ballet. She does ballet 3-4 hours a day, and once in a while when I see her stretch, I try to do the same thing, which is ridiculous, but I do it anyway.
And of course, being flexible as we get older, I think we just do better.
I wanted to know, people think when they get older, they say I'm getting weak and I'm getting stiff and I have arthritis. I would like to take that off their people's head, and here's what really happens. The body does get stiffer. That means you need to stretch more and warm up longer when you exercise with weights. 3, the muscle, inch per inch, does not get weaker, actually gets stiffer and stronger.
Oh.
So what's the answer? You need to warm up longer and stretch longer, because that's why. Otherwise, you break things.
Right. Yeah, so stretching is very important as we get older. So your size now, obviously, because you're so well known, do you try to maintain a bigger body mass now because people expect you to look like you did in 1965? Is there pressure on you?
When I quit bodybuilding, it used to be little pressure. Then I learned something in Columbus, Ohio, that was incredible. When I went there to compete, in clothes I was the smallest. Everybody looks like a monster. 200, 300 pounds, including 15,000 the audience. They must train all year to come there to see the show.
Yeah, obviously they're happy to be there. Yes, I'm sure they are.
It's the most incredible thing. And
right.
I say, what, when I take my shirt off, I went to Olympia and I won. And I say, what, maybe this works. I don't have to be big. And then you have to think 2 ways. Number 1, They know me so well, then they look at me and they talk at me so much, they forget how thin I am. So that's one thing, And the second thing is, go back to longevity now.
Right.
There's an ideal body weight for your health.
Right.
And that is your ideal body weight. It could be the one you had when you was 15, 16, 17 years old.
Right.
And you have to come back to that. You cannot walk around all your life with 20 or 30 pounds more mass, even if it's muscle.
Okay, I completely agree with you. Probably if I was 20, I wouldn't understand it, but no, I completely agree. I was just wondering.
Yes.
Because if anyone knows that answer, it's certainly you.
Yes.
And let me ask you a question about processed sugar. Would you like to say a couple of words about what processed sugar does to us?
Here's how it works with processed sugar. You got fructose and sucrose.
Right.
Okay? Fructose is obviously sugar that comes from a fruit, let's say. You eat the fruit and the sugar is released very slow in the body. That's why you can have fruit when you're training.
Right.
It gives you slow release. Sucrose, when you eat too much sugar at one time, is the problem. Sugar is actually not as bad for you as people say. But when you eat too much at one time, shuts the body down. It releases too much insulin and the body is not capability. So actually people, the ones I criticize are the ones who they eat a cake with 10 or 15 spoons of sugar.
Right.
But they are drinking an espresso without sugar. It'd be NutraSweet, let's say, or aspartame or some synthetic sweetener. And I said to myself, wait a minute, does it taste better with sugar or with that? And they said, no, with sugar I like it better, but I don't want to gain weight. You know what? You don't eat the cake. You can have 20 espressos today with 20 spoons of sugar.
Right.
It has to do with knowledge. You need to know. By the way, 1 teaspoon of sugar only has 19 to 20 calories. And actually, the reason why you don't gain weight much from sugar, it makes you nervous and hyper.
Right.
And that hypertonicity burns more calories than our, and you don't get fat from sugar. People get fat from fat and from allergy foods. If you're allergic to a product, that will be stored because the body is not metabolizing properly.
Right.
Okay?
Right. And so, do you want to mention about your practice in LA? Do you want to tell us roughly where you are, or give a phone number or website so we can contact you?
Oh, of course. My office is on Westwood Boulevard, 2 miles south of UCLA, between Olympia and Pico. It's 2265 Westwood Boulevard. And the phone number is 310-234-1160. They can call, and actually they will call, make an appointment for any problems they have, and they have to say who they recommended them. Like because they come from this show, and you're a great guy, you're very nice, you let me talk, Thank you. And then when they say they come from your show, then they're welcome immediately.
Okay, good, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Franco Columbu, my special guest on this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Radio Network. And I really want to thank Franco Columbu for being a guest today, because you're fantastic. And a bodybuilder, an athlete, and also, ladies and gentlemen, probably a gift from his mom, a natural healer. Ladies and gentlemen, Franco Columbu.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and the Romans. This spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Yes, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Jerry Bell of the Daz Band in New Birth.
And I'm Brahima Arsalan,
inviting you to join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics, baby.
Join us as we play some of the greatest hits of soul and R&B and listen in to interesting discussions with the legends of the music.
So don't you forget, join us on the Jerry Bell's R&B Soul Classics. You'll love it. Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio.
Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com, baby.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure.
This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk, baby. We're music.
Hi everyone, Chef Richard Petty here to tell you about LA Talk Live's new cookie show, Let's Do Lunch, with me, your host, Chef Richard Petty. Let's Do Lunch launches Saturday, January 19th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So tune in to Let's Do Lunch with me, Chef Richard Petty, Saturdays, 10 to 11 a.m., exclusively on LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez.
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on latalklive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
Exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. I'm your host, Josh Lane, and my guest is Steve Downs. Steve Downs, one of my series regulars. Steve Downs is the national educator for Superior Source Products. They manufacture a lot of excellent sublingual products here in the Los Angeles area. Steve Downs, welcome back to Here's to Your Health.
Well, thank you, Josh. I really appreciate you inviting me back, and I've had such a good time before that looking forward to it again. Thank you.
Well, one reason why I invited you today on today's show, because we just had Franco Columbu in studio, and I know you've met Franco many times over the years.
Yes.
And because you have a bodybuilding background as a young man, you enjoyed bodybuilding.
Yes, yeah, I did.
And also, when you were on the show once before, you brought in a bunch of photos that people have probably never seen before because they were photos you've taken
You're right.
of many important bodybuilders when they were very young, and I guess maybe in their prime, or maybe slightly before their prime, possibly. And a young Arnold Schwarzenegger we see on camera here. And so where were you when you took this shot? This was right here in Santa Monica?
This was in Santa Monica, and it was before they put the fence up in front of the pier, unfortunately. But it was really a good spot. I liked it because the background was blacked out.
Uh-huh.
And so you put somebody in front of, like Arnold, for example, and it just, with the sun, going the correct direction and so forth, it really, really gave you excellent contrast. And I've always favored black and white, and it just was ideal for black and white.
Sure.
It really was.
Black and white, just what is it about black and white exactly that some people love so much? Gives it a kind of a classic look to it? Is that what's the aesthetic behind black and white?
That's a very, very good question. It's something that you get the essence of what you're taking without being, say, lost in the color in a sense. Mm-hmm. That there's an essence that comes out that not like, I don't think, any other form of photography. So, but I was always pretty much an amateur, really. I never really got into it professionally. But I always enjoyed it. I always thought that I had an eye for it. And I really got in with it, as I say, primarily with black and white. One of the shots that I brought last time was Sergio Oliva that was under the skylight at,
yes, that was
Gold's Gym.
That was a good shot.
I've got that one if you wanted to take
we should look at
again.
that. That's a shot. If anyone had a history of bodybuilding worldwide, that shot of Sergio really can't be surpassed. That was just a fantastic shot. I mentioned last time, of a fantastic athlete, posing very lovely, or that's probably the wrong word, at the peak of his powers. It was just it was really a great shot. And really, hey, any good photographer, you captured him. That's your job as a photographer.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. It is in the eye. I got to learn this probably fairly early, that the two people can be almost at the same spot at the same time, taking what you think is the same picture, get totally different results.
Right.
It really is amazing, and I've had some very fortunate, serendipitous occasions to pull up some pretty good ones. So I'm really pleased about that. So, and it's fun to go through them now and to bring them back up again, all these years later.
And this one, now obviously Arnold's posing for you. So where did you meet Arnold? That he was he working out here, and you knew he was working out, or had you arranged to photograph him?
I met him initially at Vince's gym in the Valley. Mm-hmm. Vince Gironda, who was known as the Iron Guru, had a gym in North Hollywood, and a lot. And this was in the middle to late '60s. Arnold was out in '68, so it was toward the end of the '60s. But much of the active male Hollywood community was working out at Vince's. It was a small spot, but it attracted a lot of people. Clint Walker, who was doing the Cheyenne series, was there. Clint Eastwood, who was doing Rawhide at the time, was there, the first series that he did. And many folks, Robert Blake and Michael Landon, and you could just go on and on and on.
So that was kind of fun, really.
John Russell, who was doing Lawman, and Bill Smith, who has done many, 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 many films, was doing Laredo at the time, and so it was a lot of fun. And I sat down one day, I remember, and I thought, I'm taking a lot of this for granted. Someday I'll look back on this and say, wow, this is really kind of interesting, and it really was.
And also the time was different, so that you could take a picture of someone who is well known, say Michael Landon, and people didn't really jump up and down on you because it was like there wasn't the protection of the image the way there is now. Am I wrong on thinking that? It was just different. It was just different.
It was a little different, even for somebody like Robert Blake, for example, who was certainly a little bit probably camera shy and he didn't like to do things, and yet he came out for me when I started a women's figure salon in the early 70s. It was called Elaine Powers, and it was in.
Sure, Elaine Powers.
Elaine Powers was. I had my my first franchise. I started franchising for them in Glendale, and Bobby came out with his wife Sandra at the time and took pictures with my manager, and it was really terrific. It was really very nice. So, but it was a great time.
Elaine Powers, was that an adjunct to the Vic Tanny group? Or was that a completely separate organization?
It was completely separate, started by a fellow by the name of Dick Proctor, Richard Proctor, and they started doing this by it was Elaine Powers was really not an individual, but they took
that was the name of the organization.
You remember Eileen Feather?
No, it's not a name I know.
All right, Eileen Feather was doing weight reduction facilities, so they took a name Elaine, which sounded like it. Powers was taken after John Robert Powers. They put the two together, and people would see it and hear it and say, "Oh yeah, I've heard of them," which they really didn't.
They heard it.
It really was. It was quite clever. And what they did was they put together 3-month programs. That was it. They sold a 3-month program. They'd put full-page ad out in the paper, $39 3-month programs. The places were overwhelmed with people getting in, wanting to do it. And basically what they had was a very, very kind of Spartan facilities, a little bit of active equipment, a lot of passive equipment like rollers and things, like barrel rollers and stuff like that. It was strictly for women. But their secret was having women bring in their lists of what they were eating, and they go through and you'd kind of straighten their lists out for them and so forth, and combining that with just coming in and being focused on wanting to lose some weight, they got fabulous results. They really did. It was amazing. They were short-term programs, so people felt secure. They weren't spending a lot of money at one time. It became very successful. So I went around the country. I was doing some franchising for them too around the country.
And how long did the Elaine Powers idea work?
They were bought out by a firm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I believe, and whatever happened after that, I'm not really sure. But
and then by this point,
the founders did very well.
Yeah, then there were gyms everywhere. By this point, I mean, 10 years after Elaine Powers started, suddenly there were gyms everywhere because people recognized the need for gyms.
Right. Yeah, and that, of course, you pointed out Vic Tanny, for example, and that was quite successful. That kind of morphed into the European health spas.
Right.
European health spa.
That's right.
And then Jack LaLanne got involved in that, and then that kind of took that to the next level too. So.
And now you don't have to fight with people about going to gyms. People know, a gym is a great place to go, and really, I don't know, 1965. There really were very few gyms. It's really kind of surprising. It seems almost laughable now that there were really very few gyms.
Right. No, Vince had it on our side of the hills, and Joe Gold had it on the other side, and that's where our the founder of our company, the president and founder, Ron Beckenfeld, was training, and in 1969 started selling actually to Joe Gold out of the back of the trunk of his car, and that's how this multi-million-dollar company started.
Superior Source.
Superior Source, exactly.
What's the name of the president again?
Ron Beckenfeld.
So he's an old, I'll use the word old timer. He's been involved with nutrition for then.
Absolutely, and grunter and groaner just like I was, and I'll never forget he was out there really pounding the pavement, and I was in it with the individual now who is the publisher of Iron Man magazine, John Balick. We were doing some things together. In fact, Balick's claim to fame was so funny. He was at Vince's one day. We were going through an old bodybuilding book. It was one of Bob Hoffman's.
Sure. York, Pennsylvania.
Strength and Health, right. It was Strength and Health. And they had a feature in there called Man of the Month. And Balick and I were looking at it, and he said, we could win that. And Balick was training, and he had placed, runner-up in Mr. California, so he was in pretty good shape. So I got him down the street from Vince's overlooking the river, we took a set of pictures, picked one, sent it in, bingo, man of the month. It was just that easy, really. And that's how I started taking pictures, actually.
So after you had that success, people wanted you because you'd already had a success. Was that
well, that was where I got fortunate with Arnold when he came out, and he approached me one day and he says, Steve Downs, we'll go out and take pictures. So we, fortunate enough, went out and I ran off a couple of rolls of black and white.
So
and I believe had some color too. One? And that was one of them. So.
And Arnold is how old there?
21. 21 yes, 21. 21, because he would be all right. The next, that was spring of '70. The picture I took of Sergio, I know, was fall of 1969 because I was just out of college and doing a stint at the still lab at Paramount, the black and white still lab at Paramount, which is not there anymore, I don't believe. But I was working in there, and in fact, that's where I, got it processed. And in fact, I think I told you the story of running a sepia tone print off and taking it down to a contest the next week and showing it to Artie Zeller, who was who's Weider's staff photographer, who looked when I was taking the pictures. When Joe says go over there and take a shot, and he says, the light's not any good over there.
Right.
So. But and he was blown away. He was not the most complimentary guy. Good guy and a great photographer. He took a look at those. It was one of the best physique shots he'd ever seen.
Yeah, no, it truly is. It's just, you nailed that shot. Sometimes as a photographer, you get one, I'll use the word iconic shot.
Exactly.
And to be able to do that is an accomplishment because many skillful photographers never are able to quite accomplish it. They're just a combination of fate. They don't quite, they're great photographers, but that shot was really, really a marvelous shot. I think any bodybuilder would look at that shot and think, whoa, that was great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's I know that, I always felt that going through a proof sheet or stacks of proof sheets, if you could pull out one or two that you really felt, that good about, then your day was made.
And what did Sergio? Was it? They ever compliment you on that? Was there any more additional compliments on that one?
From others, but I don't recall even bumping into Sergio after that. Of course, he was living in Chicago,
right?
And he was getting involved with Weider more, getting into the. I don't think he hadn't won the Mr. Olympia yet. He was about to win Mr. Olympia the first time, and he did win that 3 times.
I read a little article recently that said that when Arnold came over somebody don't want to say 68, some say 69, he came over with Franco, and Joe Weider gave him a stipend of $80, I guess, a month per man, and they couldn't really quite live on $80 a month per man, so the two of them got together and they were going to be bricklayers. They were going to do masonry together.
That's true. That's true.
That must have been that's kind of a cute story. I guess one of the nice things about LA is, people come out here to become famous. That you come to LA because it's an industry town, and you'd make it in show business. And to some extent, bodybuilding it's a sport. It's show business. It's like ballet or any other. It's a sport. And I guess Arnold obviously was really wanted to make it. And when you look at him as a young man here, he really does look like a very young man, doesn't he?
Oh, he really does. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
He seems to have lots of upper body, but his legs are rather not fully developed at this point, are they, for that picture?
What's that?
His legs are not fully developed for this picture?
Oh, no, not really. And yet, it's really interesting because there's always these stories about him having maybe calf implants and things like this. And this is when he first came over here. And look, he's got a fairly decent calf there, really. So, which was kind of interesting. But no, he was very thick, and he was really, kind of, getting it together. And I think it took a contest being beaten by Frank Zane, I believe, who was really, really cut up to say, well, I've got to get it together. And also, it was really interesting because I was at a party that he was at one time, and they were playing the films of some of the old bodybuilders, and they did a stint of Vince Gironda. There was not much film on Vince, but of him posing, and Vince was a flawless poser. He was actually a dancer, and Rob Blake told me that actually, that he because he saw Vince in the studios, he would actually dance in the studios, and in film, exactly, yeah. So, but he didn't want that to be widely known, so he incorporated dance moves into his posing, and was very smooth and very fluid. And Arnold actually laughed. He said, Guess who did that the next year? Who got into that and who was actually I think, learned through ballet to go through some of those moves.
Oh
was
yeah,
Arnold.
you use everything you know. Obviously, all the body awareness, you bring it to the sport, and then you push the sport forward, and then other people follow your example. They don't realize where it came from. That's all, but they follow your example.
Yeah, exactly. So
Do me a favor, once again. Let me have your Arnold impersonation. Let me hear that one again. Good. Let me hear the Arnold. Everyone has an Arnold. Let me hear yours once again. Let me hear it. It was pretty good. Let me hear it.
I hadn't really rehearsed it, but that's exactly the way I howled it. That I heard it. That sound was that he said, "Stiff down, so we go out take pictures."
Good. That's good. It's a very good Arnold, and directly from the source. That's very good. So our guest is Steve Downs, the national educator for Superior Source supplements. They are manufactured here in the Los Angeles area. So, by the way, let me talk about some of the Superior Source products. You do sublingual because you feel it gives you very good absorption?
Right, and you've noticed that all the advertising that we have, we market it as microlingual.
Microlingual, that's right. I'm sorry, you corrected me. I'm sorry, yes.
No, there's a good reason for that. That technically, sublingual is a medical administration.
Right, I know you've told me that before. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Right. No, that's all right. And
that's why I have you back.
But we're probably the only company with a product that is a genuine, that meets the genuine sublingual monograph as far as dissolution in the mouth is concerned. So, but our marketing guru, Carol Nicholson Kriegel, was going through our literature and saw that we referred to our tablets as micro tabs, and the lingual, under the tongue. So she just took the two together, and we trademarked it, and people are connecting that now, which is great, and it's good because it keeps the feds at arm's distance anyway.
It's probably a good thing,
and this
really.
is absolutely. Well, we're fortunate though too, because we've been a lot closer to them than most other companies. We are a basic manufacturer, which there are very few around now because it's so darn expensive, and the paperwork is just voluminous.
Yeah, so you manufacture your own supplements.
We manufacture our own supplements in our own plant, which is GMP compliant, good manufacturing practices compliant. But we also take a step above that. We also have a pharmaceutical license, which is great. So we've gone through everything, which really puts us in a lot better position, because others who have gone through GMP certification are finding that federal people are coming in and writing them up for a variety of different problems and so forth, which we don't have because we've really passed through all that. So which is really an advantage for us. So
well, I think when consumers buy supplements, if you can buy supplements from a manufacturer, you know the track record and the quality control, and it's a much better idea for the consumer to buy from a manufacturer rather than a private label. Even if the people at private label are well-intentioned, and obviously most are, but still to go directly to a manufacturer, I always suggest that people do that.
Yeah. No, it is. I think people have a lot more confidence in us and what we do and so forth. And what we're going to be promoting more this year is something that it's probably the best kept secret as far as our line is concerned, that with the process that we utilize in making these products, we don't require the usual binders, the fillers, the excipients, all the additional things that go into other tablets and capsules.
Right.
And we haven't really been promoting that, and there's just more publicity these days out on the detrimental effects of all these things that are in supplements. And so we're going to be promoting that and letting people know, just exactly what we have.
On B12, for example, you have tell me about why would a person use B12?
Well, B12 is they would use it as a supplement. It's probably one of the most valuable of supplements because B12 is so difficult to absorb in the intestinal tract. We spoke about this before. It's a 4-ring structure. It's a very large structure with cobalt is central to it. It's identical in structure, or pretty closely identical to structure, to hemoglobin, with iron as the central mineral, and chlorophyll with the magnesium as the central mineral. So it's a huge molecule, and it requires, if you're going to absorb it in the lower tract, it requires a protein known as intrinsic factor. Some people have it. As you get older, you don't have that much of it anyway. So it kind of acts as a shuttle service to bring the B12 in. The difficulty with absorbing B12, I like to compare to the little parable or line out of the Bible, that the chances of a rich man getting into heaven are about as good as getting the camel through the eye of the needle. That's about as difficult as it is. It's a good comparison on absorbing B12. So that's why doctors have had the corner in the market with injections, because that's about the only way you get into the bloodstream, except when you do it in the mouth and under the tongue and so forth, and get a quick dissolve as Rs-hour, that it will go directly into the mucosal lining under the tongue, right into the capillary system and directly into the bloodstream.
And what does B12 do for me? I just feel peppy? I feel kind of energetic? Is that it? Pretty fast?
Many do. It's amazing with the little sample packets that we give when we sell the product to the retailers, and they hand out to their customers. And I use in the stores. I could take around with me all the time. It's not unusual for me to give someone a sample and kind of forgotten that I've done it.
Right.
And in maybe 5-10 minutes later, that individual will say, "Darn, I was dragging my tail today, and I just feel up and alive and much better now." Or my mind was foggy. It's cleared now. It's amazing. And of course, I told you the story of my mother. That when I gave her the 5,000 methylcobalamin along with the B6 and folic acid along with 5,000 vitamin D, the next day she told me that she couldn't believe the difference that she felt. That and that's all anecdotal.
That's a nice story, isn't it?
Remember, I told you that 2 months after that that she was that we went down as a family to look at some. Both blood tests, which I didn't know that the USC School of Medicine had taken, along with cognitive tests. And the head of neurology sat down with us, and she's going over it and saying, for, I believe, 89 or so, she says, "You're really doing pretty well." She's going over the cognitive stuff. Then she's going over the blood tests, and she just yells out, she says, 2,000, how did you get levels of B12 that high? So I gave her a sample, and I said, well, it's an under-the-tongue approach to getting absorption in the mouth cavity. And as you can see, you'll get them, comparable to an injection. I said, but don't tell your doctor.
Right.
So everybody got a big laugh out of that.
Well, let me say this. Obviously, when you're trying to convince people of the value of your ideas, you want to convince everyone.
Exactly.
But to convince your mom,
yeah,
is like isn't that the best thing? I mean, really, it doesn't get any better than that, really.
Yeah.
Mom, please try this. Your mom tries it. It works fantastic. You think, whoa. I mean, what could be better than that?
No, exactly.
No, it's just fantastic, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do like that story very much. And especially, I mean, it's really nice when these nutrients, after all, these are inexpensive nutrients, when they work so well.
Exactly.
And sometimes you take such abuse from people who think, oh, that doesn't work. If that worked, the doctor, the MD would tell me. What do you say when people tell you that?
Well, I don't hear it that much, but I mean, they've got an agenda too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have,
and that's really, that's really part of it. Many are trying to do the best they possibly can. Many don't know about that, although we're getting more doctors on our side all the time. It's amazing. I know that there's one in the Valley we've been working with for a couple of years now, and he's got all his patients on it and just doing, phenomenally well.
Mm-hmm.
So more and more professionals are looking to see what we have. We sell through an integrative pharmacy you may know called Pharmaca.
Yes,
there are a couple in town. There are about 24 of them totally. I was just up in Portland, Oregon last week and had a nice visit with the assistant manager of the Portland store. And she was telling me how much their practitioners really liked our items, that they fit in so beautifully with what they did. So they're seeing this more and more too.
Sure. So that sounds great.
Yeah, it's worked out very, very well.
We're speaking with Steve Downs, the national educator for Superior Source Products, who are major American manufacturers here in Los Angeles. And Steve, how can we contact Superior Source?
Well, if we're on the internet, it's I don't know if we've got it's superiorsourcevitamins.com.
That's pretty simple. Okay.
It's real simple. Yeah, we were. Superior Source had been taken initially. We were Superior Source 1, but we've changed now. Everything is on superiorsourcevitamins.com, and we've got videos. We've got all kinds of of things out there, and directions to stores. Where you can find a store that's got the products, which is great, and all the usual players are will have it. One of the best being the Vitamin Center in Agoura Hills, of
Thank you.
course.
It's a lovely store. It's a fantastic
fabulous
store.
store. It's the way, really, that's the way, and Josh, you know this, it's the way, those of us who have been around the industry, that's the way the industry used to be, and that's what endears us to it, that people are there who really care about what they're doing.
Yes,
they have the knowledge and they care.
That is the strength and also surprisingly the weakness. because the industry is still somewhat quirky in that it does reflect the thinking of the store owners. That has always been the strength and the weakness. I see that because I know my strengths and weaknesses. At least I think I know some of my weaknesses. But I really do see that. But really, it's people like us who recognize these ideas have merit, and we are consistent in telling people they have merit. And because we're consistent, other people have tried and said, oh, son of a gun, you're right. These little B12 things, these things work. They're safe, they're effective, they're inexpensive, they work.
Exactly.
They
work. No, that's that really is true. That really is true, and that's something I think that endears you, that endears me to this industry, really, and something that you really feel good about.
Well, thanks for saying that. Kind of you to say that. Our guest has been Steve Downs, the national educator for Superior Source supplements, who are manufactured here in the Los Angeles area, and they are available everywhere. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Are you ready to enjoy the Maui lifestyle? You can have it all by owning real estate on the paradise island of Maui. Dennis Rush, a 22-year Maui resident and real estate broker, brings his wealth of experience and market knowledge to add value to your Maui real estate understanding, providing a level of service as unique and exceptional as the island of Maui itself. The magical island of Maui was voted the most exclusive resort island in the world by Condé Nast Traveler, and keep in mind, Maui is only a simple, non-stop flight away. Hawaii Business Magazine Top 100 Realtors awarded Dennis Rush the 2011 fourth top realtor on the island of Maui. Go to www.dennisrush.com to view all of the amazing properties currently available in the Maui MLS system. Whatever your needs or desires, Dennis Rush will provide a private consultation for any Maui properties your heart desires. You will be in good hands. Once again, go to www.dennisrush.com. That's www.dennisrush.com. Contact Dennis today to start your Maui lifestyle now. Dennis Rush, proud sponsors of the Dawn Christie Show and LA Talk Live.
Hi, this is Susie Pruden. And yes, you've seen me on Oprah, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. And I'm inviting you to join me every Monday from 3 to 4 for my new show, Mastermind Live. Join us as we introduce you to the new thought leaders of the world who will inspire you, support you, and guide you to your next level. So don't forget to tune into Mastermind Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
People, it's Jennifer Tapier from StarCam. You guys might know me from the red carpet, catching up with all the stars, but guess what? We're bringing the red carpet to the radio right out here on LA Talk Live. I'm going live Thursday nights at 6 p.m. We got hot topics, celebrities, and much more. We were featured on Chloe Lamar on E!, Howard Stern, T.I.'s Family Hustle. You know how we do. So check it out on Thursday nights, 6 p.m. All things Hollywood, everything celebrity. StarCam Radio?
StarCam Radio? StarCam Radio!
Oh yeah, follow us on Twitter at StarCam Radio.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
Well, we're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live radio network. My next guest is Hallie Rich, who has a new line of products called Alternativites. And Hallie comes from a wellness family. Hallie Rich, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thanks so much for having me.
And who is your dad, by the way?
My dad was Mel Rich. He was founder and president of Great Earth Vitamins and of Phoenix Laboratories.
Well, Great Earth Vitamins was a major player at one time.
Yes, my father was a very innovative man.
Yes. And so your father manufactured supplements and also had the Great Earth Vitamin chain.
Correct. He did both private label for other people and formulated as well, in addition to working with the Great Earth line of products and as well as the stores.
And what years did Great Earth Vitamins come to play?
In the 1970s.
Right. That was surprisingly a very long time ago.
Yes, it was surprisingly.
Surprisingly a very long time ago, yes. And so the idea that your father and mom had, you just decided it made sense to you and you decided to pursue it.
Well, I'd actually worked with my father in the family business for close to 10 years. Unfortunately, my father passed away from cancer and we closed those companies. And in the interim, after he passed away, I found myself being very lethargic, very stressed. Not only had I lost my father, but I'd lost this business that had been in my family for generations.
Yes.
And upon doing that, I went to a vitamin store for the first time in my life because they'd always kind of been plentiful in my family.
Right. They've been in the house. Yeah.
Exactly. And but the biggest secret of all was that I can't swallow pills. So despite being in this family that had manufactured thousands of different vitamins for generations, I could never benefit from those that I, passionately believed in. So we kind of, as the shoemaker's daughters without any shoes. So when I walked into this vitamin store a couple of years ago, there were a lot of different options available for somebody like me who can't swallow pills. But to me, they all had drawbacks. You had gummies, which, taste great and they're really fun to take, but a lot of them are missing nutrients.
Yes.
You have the liquid vitamins, which are really potent formulas, but they're not always convenient to take. You have chewables that are sometimes chalky to, taste. So what I decided to do is if I took all the great benefits of these and combine them into one product, that was where Alternativites was born. Really out of the necessity for myself, somebody who wanted to take vitamins, but there was really no good product there for me. And I always had, as I like to say, an excuse why I couldn't take vitamins.
And so what is your delivery system on these?
So Alternativites and Alternativites Kids are both available in a powder form. And that means that you could take them simply like a pixie stick like you would when you were younger. You can pour them directly in the mouth where they melt. And then, you've taken your vitamins for the day. If that's not the preferred way you'd like to take them, you can mix them into yogurt, smoothies, shakes, puddings, waters, juices. Put it on top of fruit. Lick it off of a spoon. There's so many different ways to take it because for me, the most important thing is taking it. You could have the best product that's out there on the market, but if you don't take it and you're not compliant in it each and every day, it's kind of pointless.
Right.
So how do we make a product that's easy to take, that you want to take, that you look forward to taking, and then on the flip side, that's also potent, that works for you, that has the nutrients you need in a daily multivitamin? And that was really the genesis of Alternativites.
Well, it seems like a very simple idea. Everything does after someone does it.
Right.
It's always easy after you know it. Okay. So what did you have to? What kind of hoops did you have to jump through to put these products together so that they would pour nicely, they wouldn't have preservatives? I mean, How did you come up with that?
Well, for me, I always like to say everyone has excuses not to take vitamins. For me, it was I couldn't swallow pills, but everyone has something. That's why I wanted this product to be a really clean product. So there's no aspartame or high fructose corn syrup and
There's
no
no
sugar.
high fructose corn syrup, no sugar.
Correct.
Well, that seems smart move not to have that.
Right. I mean, you want something that's 0 grams of sugar. It's a vegetarian formula,
Right.
so there's no animal products in there, as opposed to a lot of the gelatin capsules that are out there, which is another reason sometimes people don't take vitamins. We have no artificial flavors, colors, preservatives, or sweeteners. And those were the parameters that I worked with each and every day in formulating this product into really developing something that really hasn't been on the market all in one combined formula before. And we actually worked for the taste with a food development company because I felt that taste in a product like this is the most important factor, because if you don't like it, you're not going to take it. And also, if you get sick of it, the flavor after a few days, you're not going to want to take it.
Right.
I am someone who, because I can't swallow a pill, has to take a lot of flavored things. I didn't want something cherry, and I didn't want something grape, because to me that's very medicinal. You take that, you're thinking of Robitussin, you're thinking of Luden's cough drops, you're thinking of things that really remind you of not feeling well. And a vitamin really has the opposite effect. So I wanted things that taste hopeful and cheery and that you enjoy taking.
Right.
So we worked with them also to kind of come up with unique flavors that you like, but you're not sure exactly why. This way, by the third day, the fourth month of taking something, you're not sick of it. You like it and it tastes great, but it's a little bit undefinable so that your brain doesn't exactly remember it, so you don't get sick of taking it day in and day out, which is really important when it comes to a multi.
Oh, that's interesting, a little backstory. Oh, I see. Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that was how we kind of came up with the flavors, especially for the kids. What we did was we had kids taste the product because, our palates and their palates are very different. Unfortunately, mine's not as sophisticated as a lot of other adults, so, I kind of have kid-like flavors. But we took different things and we saw what kids liked, and that after a few days, what they didn't get sick of. And that was how we ended up combining one flavor, which is strawberry bubblegum, and one flavor, which is raspberry cotton candy, to get these really, fun and enjoyable and positive flavors that conjure, fun and good times, but in addition to something that, you won't get sick of, and as a parent, that has no sugar, that's not artificial, so that everyone feels good taking it.
Well, that makes sense. Excuse me, are you a registered pharmacist?
I am not. My father was, though, so I say I got it by, it's in the genes.
No, it is definitely,
it's in the genes.
Definitely in the genes. Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's in the genes.
And so you really, with a team, you worked this formulation out, you kind of knew what you wanted, and you put it together.
Correct. I mean, I knew what I wanted just from being in the industry for years, and really what people, had liked, what they wanted. And, I'd worked in this industry for a long time, and so I knew the science behind it. And I work with a team of, registered dietitians, of food technologists to really put together the final formulator, and masking the inherent taste of these bad vitamins and minerals, to making sure that we found the best raw materials for these ingredients. So we really want to make something. For me, this is a product I take every day. I'm not going to take something that I don't believe in where it comes from and, how it's put together. And that's something that I felt was really important, because after all, I really made this product for myself, selfishly speaking. And in doing so, I've been able to really help a lot of people along the way, which has been, the most rewarding thing.
Sure. And you've been around, what, a year now?
We've been around, the adult version came out a couple years ago, but in launching the adult product, we had an influx of emails, of calls, of messages from parents, from pediatricians, from nutritionists, from pediatric dentists, saying you're really missing a niche in the kids market, because a lot of what's out there, fortunately or unfortunately, depending upon how you look at it, is gummies. And a lot of, for example, pediatric dentists aren't happy with them because they're sticking to kids' teeth.
Right.
And they're causing, cavities.
Right.
And so there really aren't alternatives out there. You go into a store, 18 out of 20 products on the shelf for children are gummies. Or there are things that don't really taste that great and that kids don't really want to take. So that's why we kind of fast-tracked the kids, and that came out almost about a year ago, exactly.
And the response has been good?
The response has been amazing. I mean, just yesterday we received an email from a mother whose child has autism, and they could not find something because of the taste and texture difficulties that the child has. So we had that mother who wrote us saying, we were, the miracle of all miracles when it came to vitamins. And then we just have everyday moms and dads who write us to say, you know what, my son likes it. My son likes it. My daughter reminds me every morning to take it. They know it's not candy, but they know that it tastes good. And we're really starting to, set healthy habits earlier in life. And to me, as someone in this industry, there's nothing better to hear that you're setting, healthy habits for someone starting at a young age.
Oh, yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice. And what about the formulations? Okay, this is for the adults, this one?
Yes, the adults has 23 nutrients in it, both of vitamins and minerals. The kids has 17, and it's recommended for kids is recommended for children's 4 and up. We say 4 to 104. We actually have a lot of people, even older people, later in life who take this because it's a little bit more soft on their stomach. And they only have to take one a day. And a lot of people who are taking a lot of pills per day, even as adults, don't really want another pill to take.
Right.
So with this, if they're already taking their yogurt with their breakfast, they just pour it in, they mix it in. They've taken their vitamins without having to take another, huge horse pill with them. So there's 17 in the kids for adults and kids. And if you want something a little bit stronger, we have Alternatives for adults, which is 23 nutrients in it.
And this is put you on the spot slightly for this one. Let's say a person has not been taking vitamins, and let's say they're an adult and they use your new product. What will they see? What will they feel? And when?
I think the best way to describe it with taking a multivitamin is take it for a few weeks and then stop taking it. I think it's really hard to kind of, it's that whole false negative thing. It's really hard to prove how something's working. It's almost easier to prove when something stops working or when it doesn't work anymore. And a lot of times what I've had with a lot of friends who take, these products would be, I was feeling really great and I'm not really feeling well anymore. I said, when did you stop feeling well? About a week ago. Are you taking your vitamins? Nope. When did you stop? About a week ago. And I think to me, that's the true test of when something's working for you and when it's not. I think it's harder to say on an everyday basis. There's, a lot of B vitamins in here, so you will feel like, a little bit of that energy in there. I think it's a really well formula. And I think the thing with vitamins are you have short-term goals and long-term goals. And you can't overlook either of those when you're taking a multivitamins. Your body needs the nutrients on an everyday basis, whether it's combating antioxidants, whether you're using antioxidants to combat free radicals, whether your body needs these nutrients on your everyday activities on the cellular level. But there's also things that you build up over time. Take calcium into, specific with your bones. Take magnesium. I take magnesium, I get migraines. So, having an optimal level of magnesium for me is really important.
All right, so if a person has headaches, migraines, you think that additional magnesium might, in some cases, help them offset the headaches?
Yeah, that's
Right.
something that I found particularly for me works for me.
Right.
I find when my magnesium levels are lower, I tend to get more headaches, but that's just personally for me. But I think for different people, they have different nutrient deficiencies. A lot of people get into food jags, right? So they eat the same things over and over again.
Right.
So what aren't you getting in your diet? What aren't you doing? How well are you sleeping? Are you exercising? All these different things come into effect with how your body handles the day-to-day activities. And the best insurance policy is to take a multivitamin every day to help you, on the short term of what you're doing every day for your body. And then long term, how are you going to be, all your guests are talking about longevity.
Mhm.
I think something that's really important for that is to take a multivitamin on an everyday basis.
And you mentioned you have friends or family members or acquaintances who take their vitamins, feel good, stop taking them for a week, think, gee, I'm kind of dragging around the house. And you explain to them, well, you haven't taken your vitamins in a week. And then they have a little aha moment. They didn't make the connection, but now they make the connection.
Correct.
Right.
And I think that's really important for people to take into account. It's not just what you're doing, but what have you stopped doing?
Right.
Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you, taking care of yourself? And in that, are you taking, your daily multivitamin or whatever supplements that you and your physician, decide are something good for you to incorporate into your daily life? And I think by doing that, you can really realize, it all works together. And if you're, missing nutrients in your body, the other things are going to suffer. Likewise, you may have all the nutrients if you need, but if you're not sleeping well, you're not taking care of yourself, all of these things need to work together, to really put you at your optimal best.
Right.
And I think that that's what multivitamins can really do for you.
And I see a multivitamin for the adults has all the B vitamins, has selenium, has zinc. I see you have a yeast-based selenium, which I believe Richard Passwater has a patent on selenium for treating cancer patients. Recommends the yeast-based selenium. He thinks the science is involved with yeast-based selenium. So I notice you have the yeast-based selenium in your product.
Right. Well, with our product, we really wanted something that was vegetarian.
Right.
So that everything in our product is, there's no animal products in anything that we do.
Right.
It's really important for me, again, because everyone has these reasons or excuses why they don't take vitamins. And if
Right.
we can help eliminate those, and if one of those is that you don't want to, ingest any animal products, here's a good product for you.
Right.
So that to us was very important. I really want to, there's so many products in this industry that really narrow things down, which is good for people who have really specific needs and wants. But then there's people who really just want to take something and can't find something that's suitable to them. So with a product like this that I think is really clean and, really eliminates a lot of the sugars, the artificial ingredients, the animal products. We're certified kosher, all those different things in there that you can really find something that works for you and
Sure.
has a lot of the things you're looking for, not just one. We're not just vegetarian. We don't just have no grams of sugar.
Sure.
We have something that incorporates all those things. You can really find something that's a generally good product for you.
I think that makes it very contemporary. And on your children's products, is there an age when it starts? Is it 2 and over?
It's 4 and over.
4 and over.
If you're younger than 4, we suggest that you contact your doctor just because, it depends upon their height and weight, and your doctor will be able to give you more information on that. But it's recommended for children's 4 and over. Like I said, 4 to 104, we say. So if you're an adult and you love, really fun flavors, there's no reason why you can't take the kids. But for the adult, it would be 18 and over.
Has there been any feedback on the children's products from parents or friends, and they say, oh my God, the kids are just like, are the children better behaved on B vitamins? Is there any kind of claims that you feel you want to make?
I mean, I don't want to make any claims.
Right. That's right.
But but we have heard a lot of anecdotes.
Anecdotes.
Yes, we've heard a lot of anecdotes that parents and children are very happy. We have kids who send us in their own smoothie recipes. We have kids who send us, and this is how I like to take it every day. They send us pictures, and to have that interaction with a vitamin to me is so unique and it's so special because it's usually a chore. It's usually a hassle. Vitamin taking time is usually never fun for parents or for adults. And to make it something that parents can look forward to because their children are looking forward to it too, really changes the whole dynamic in a morning when a child's getting ready for school or for playgroup or for whatever it is they're doing in that day, to start doing healthy habits, to take the same vitamin as your child's taking if you even want to, but to really start doing that together at an early age, you're setting them up for greatness.
Right. I think so. I really think so. So you seem to have cornered the market here, and where can I buy the Alternativites?
You can buy Alternativites and Alternativites Kids on Walgreens.com, on drugstore.com, and you can also buy them at our website, which is Alternativites.com. And on our website, you can not only buy it, but there's information on there that has FAQs, that has more product information, that has a little bit more about my story, so you can learn a little bit more about my background and how this came to be.
That sounds very good, Hallie Rich. Well, Hallie Rich, I'd like to thank you for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Radio Network, and I'm glad that you're carrying on your father's work.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure having you on. Hope to have you on again.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thanks.
Thank you. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. Thank you for being my guest today, and we'll see you next week.
For more information about the guests and sponsors of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, please call us at 818-707-0005.
Walk, run, climb, play. Solgar number 7 can help. Feel the difference for yourself. Solgar number 7 actually shows improvement in joint comfort within 7 days. Now you can start to get back on track fast and pursue the activities you love. Solgar number 7 is a breakthrough in joint care with no glucosamine and no chondroitin. The advanced bioactives in Solgar number 7 help to increase flexibility, mobility, range of motion, and actually shows improvement within just 7 days. One capsule, once a day, is all you need. When stiff joints occasionally say no, Solgar number 7 says yes. Visit Solgar.com and learn more about Solgar number 7 today. That's www.solgar.com, www.solgar.com. Solgar number 7, official sponsors of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and LA Talk Live.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and the Romans. This spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Yes, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.